We are live. Welcome back to the Hex Late Show, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all today? Looks like the intro's not playing. We'll just show that, bring everyone down. Righto, we'll try that again. How you going out there, YouTube land? Welcome back to the Hex Late Show. We're back for another episode. We're talking about Hex Crypto and PulseChain. How are we, everyone? Good to see you all. And
excellent, really good. How you going?
Wherever you're joining us from out in the world, Bluey. How you been going, mate?
I've been going very well. So I'll bring up this first point of discussion that I'd like. Should we get cracking, or do you want to go around the grounds first?
Shall we?
Well, I think just before we get started, I think we need to talk about the censorship that took place. Censorship that took place on the Hex Late Show. Do you guys? We
done nothing wrong.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we're depraved.
We had a beautiful thumbnail that was censored by YouTube. Censored. They took it down. So in the interest of just everyone, I guess everyone getting a chance to see what was taken down, let's put it up on the screen, eh? I think that's the go. What do you reckon? There we go.
What's wrong with that?
You see that?
Nothing wrong with that.
It got censored.
It's a family-friendly show and all. What's wrong with that?
Is
Nothing,
it because?
But this is the pixelated censored version, but do you guys? I don't know. Let me ask the chat. Do you guys want to see the uncensored version?
Yeah, of course.
Tell us in the chat. Do you want to see the uncensored version?
Into the fire saying no cleavage allowed.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that. Yes. I'm saying a couple of yeses. Absolutely.
Come on.
Yes.
Do you think it was the words or the image or what? I'm not sure.
Is crypto going tits up?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Let's have a look. What do you reckon? We'll see the uncensored version, eh? It's going to be quick.
You're going to give it a quick flash, are you?
It's going to be quick, all right? Because we don't.
We might get taken down again.
Yep.
Come here,
man.
Hang on, one more time. Ready? And there we go.
Whoa!
And bang.
And that's it.
Avert your eyes, children.
There you go. Very good. But anyway, so yeah.
Is crypto going tits up? That's the question. Is crypto going tits up? Not.
Hopefully.
Mixed feelings at the moment, isn't it? Everyone's gotten a bit excited lately and getting a bit more bullish. The likes of Bitcoin and ETH heading north. Everyone's getting a bit excited. Question are we getting too excited too early? Okay.
Everyone, we're broadcasting on the Discourse Syndicate Network, everyone. So welcome everyone who's rolling into the chat now, and thank you for joining us. If you are new to Hex or if you're new to PulseChain, get on over to those respective sites, hex.com and hex or pulsechain.com. Read up the information that's on there. There's some really simplified ways of understanding the technology and the cryptocurrency Hex, and that's what we predominantly talk about on this channel. We love Hex here, and there's there's always good things to talk about within Hex. But I wanted to sort of just swing off to just quickly before we take it over the points of discussion that we're going to be talking about tonight. I just want to do a shout out to the founder, Richard Hart, who's organised a over $27 million donation, US dollars donation to the SENS Foundation, which is a longevity research, and that might save the life of your loved ones or yourself in the future. So I think that's worth a significant shout out. about that. And the real heroes are the people that actually donated to that charity. So if you did that, well done. Thumbs up from us, and keep it going. And what a week in crypto. I've actually been learning and trying to actually get I've had a few sort of like eureka moments this week with the ETH chain and the moving over to the Pulse and what that's going to mean for Hex, the P Hex and the ETH Hex. But anyway, I've got a few questions lined up later, but
just 1 second, mate. Before we get into that, let's just pop the disclaimer up. I'm not sure if everyone's going to hear me while we pop this up on the screen.
Yours.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but the disclaimer, nothing in this video is financial advice. These are just opinions expressed for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research and seek professional assistance from an accredited advisor in your jurisdiction and abide by all relevant laws.
Geez, we're getting pretty professional now, aren't we?
Yeah. We start off with the titties and then
What about
we
tangent over here?
I just finished reading
with the 8-hour epic last week.
I know. That was
I just
crazy last week. That was awesome, Tangent. 8 hours.
So many big names came through as well. I was just absolutely stoked.
Who was on?
Sorry, I've missed
What
all this.
about,
What was this all
Look at
about?
this.
Yeah,
I
what are you
don't wanna-
talking about?
I don't want to list.
Fitness
I don't want to
is a
list a
cyborg
name
from
in
the
case I
picture.
forget someone and they might get offended. But just absolutely massive list of big hex names. Not Richard Hart, obviously, but
David
other-
Feeder was on, for sure.
Crypto
David
Kool-Aid.
Feeder, Crypto Kool-Aid.
Shit.
The cyborg.
Like,
Fucking
no.
cyborg from
and,
the
David Feeder. Who else came through? Did Wales only come through for a bit?
JFK.
More you guys came through. Day 43 was there at the start and the end. We had JFK 666. We had shit. Yeah, forgive me for
was there as well,
month, but just massive. It was massive.
Yeah,
Bluey
it
was
was.
there.
It went for 8 hours. 8 hours stream.
Really?
And it was
8
just
hours?
rolling guests the entire time. It was awesome.
Super
Oh
Hex.
my gosh.
This was on your channel, was it, Tangent?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I didn't even realise you're doing that.
Someone else
Did
was on
Super
there.
Hex? Did Super Hex come on?
No, it wasn't Super Hex. What's Super
I don't
Hex?
think
He's on a private jet.
he might have. I think he might have been in the
around
chat, but not in the
private.
actual.
In the chat.
And then there
Bit
were
Finesse.
like
Bit
there were
Finesse.
Bit Finesse. There were
Bit
big
Finesse.
names. There were
It
big
was
names
awesome.
in the chat as well. So not necessarily everyone that actually came on live in video, but there were big names in the chat in getting involved as well. It was awesome.
So if you missed out on that stream, that's because you're not subscribed to Tangent's YouTube channel. So go subscribe to Hex_Tangent.
Thanks,
on
man.
YouTube. Fantastic channel. So much fun. Because you just do, like, you don't have a set schedule, do you? You just jump
Not
on
yet.
and you
This is the set schedule for me. This chat with you guys every Tuesday night.
but you
No,
just
we're
jump
glad to
on
have you
and
aboard,
do
mate.
you just jump on and do random streams
Yeah.
and you just talk about the chart, and then you just what you do is you're just talking, and then you read the chat, and you just go off on these tangents and talk about like hilarious shit. Like it's man, I've got to say it is probably the most entertaining stream just to be chilling out and listening to you crap on, man. It's fun.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's the
I
giving tree.
enjoy it as well.
It's fun.
I
You
love
go,
it.
Richard Hart is the giving tree, and you go, no, he's Santa Claus, and he's delivering all the kids' presents this year. How? Blockchain, bitches. Airdrop that. So if you're being good, you're going to get a PulseChain airdrop. For Christmas might come early for everyone. So how's that?
Legendary.
Yeah, right, Bluey.
Yeah.
Mate, you had something you wanted to bring up?
Well, yeah, actually, a couple of things. Just really, really quickly. I don't want to dwell on this, but there was another article in the Australian Financial Review on Alex Saunders, and basically saying that like there's some sort of committee going on that's looking into crypto in Australia, and I think they're going to do their report on October 30th. And basically, they were, or someone to do with them was complaining that they couldn't go after somebody like Alex Saunders.
Why not?
Why not?
I don't know.
Yeah, why?
No, they said it's because it's not regulated like the The legacy
In,
market.
You can get away
in
with
fairness,
you can get away with
but in,
fraud.
It's
yeah.
fraud.
So in fairness, though, well, is it though? Not that I'm saying he done the right thing or the wrong thing. Who am I to judge? But people voluntarily loaned him Bitcoin without any agreements or anything. So he hasn't broken any laws or gone against anything. That was done on a handshake. I don't know
What
how
about
you pin.
investing in his project though?
Dishonest,
The,
though,
the
isn't
funds that he solicited off his users and other. Is that
That's
possibly? But that would have to be sort of SEC style action, right, to get him on that.
Well, that's really hard to prove. I mean, you can, even with a normal company, if you give someone funds, it's very hard to prove that they have done anything wrong. They can spend it on pretty much bloody whatever they like. Did they achieve what they were supposed to achieve? No, but that happens all the time in business.
I think this would be an issue of like maybe there's going to be like legal action. Individuals will sue him,
potentially, yeah.
and that's going to be what it is. I mean,
yeah, if he said he was going to do something and he's promoted something and has 100% not do it and sent the funds to an exchange, that's probably something you could pick someone up for. Well, it hasn't been used for the endeavour at all.
Public opinion.
I mean,
that's right. That's what matters,
all
man.
verifiable on the chain as well.
Look, there's some level of fraud there.
They can't hide it.
There is some level
I
of fraud there. He was, he's like making promises about a project, and then any money that people send for it, he's going off and leverage trading with it.
Yeah,
So,
it gets when there's no agreements
off.
and things like that. What do you do? Like,
People get pissed off.
Yeah.
And they'll come after him.
Yeah, but I think Tangent's right. There may not be a legal recourse, but there will be definitely from a criminal point of view. I can't see how there would be, but if his career will be in tatters. Like it'd be, I don't know if you can come back from something like that, especially if you get taken to task and you basically run and hide or you dodge it, then
does
anybody come back?
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's the richest man in Tassie, so he'll be fine. Don't worry about that.
You didn't buy his suit. Lucky you bought that Subaru before that came out, Bluey.
I know.
You know,
he's put a bad omen. So the other thing that I was
the thing is, right.
Oh, the other thing that I've been like, let's just drop that. Couldn't give a shit about that dude.
Yeah.
But
it does leave a sour taste in your mouth. Like it's already bad.
It leaves a sour taste
buzz around crypto.
Talked about and mentioned, but it's also
people get
like
wrecked in crypto and then they leave.
Yeah, that's
not
just
good for the option.
Yeah, terrible. The other thing that I was thinking about, that I've been really thinking about these days, is PUSD. Right?
Yeah.
The USD that's on Ethereum now that's going to get duplicated will be called PulseUSD.
USDC.
Sorry, USDC. Yeah. So there is an unknown quantity there as to how much that will maintain its peg, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because we don't know whether like the USDC people will freeze all of those transactions with PUSD, or whether they'll let it go, right? If they don't do anything and they just let it, like it will just start happening, people are kind of thinking, oh, maybe at some point they're going to pull the rug on us. But at the moment, like there are trading markets with this open, right? And if you think about it, if you have a pair like there's going to be two main pairs in PUSD on the Pulse chain. There's PUSD versus Pulse, PUSD versus PHEX, right?
Yep.
Now the thing is, right, because they're trading pairs.
What is that? Is that Sammy? Or?
That's all right.
Where is
all sorted.
Mic mute.
Yeah. I just muted.
Like, okay, that's very good clowning, by the way. What you just did. That's like there's a clowning. I won't get into it. With this PUSD pair, right? It's going to be linked. It's going to be paired up with all of these different things, and the main pair is going to be Pulse and PHEX. Now, we're not going to know how much people are valuing that PUSD at lower than it is. We're just seeing the price. And so if people don't value PUSD very much, that's going to send the price of Pulse straight up.
Relative to the PUSD, you mean?
Well, we won't know how much of it is the actual price of PUSD and how much of it is actually the price of Pulse.
So you're making the assumption that Circle don't come in and validate all of those tokens.
Yeah, no, I'm not making that assumption. I'm saying that's there in the background. That's there. People thinking, fuck, I've got this PUSD at the moment, but at any minute could come in and rug pull me, right? So I'm probably going to try to get rid of my PUSD pretty early. What they're going to put it into is Pulse and P hex, and so that's going to just like shoot those prices up. In fact, every single pair, because we don't know what they're going to be worth, every single pair with Pulse is going to have this huge effect of just pouring it into Pulse. So the Pulse wrapped ETH pair on the Pulse chain and the ETH wrapped Pulse on the ETH chain, they're going to be really important pairs. Because like the way that Uniswap works is that, let's say you have a PUSD pair and then with Pulse, and then you have one with P hex, and you have one with all of these other things. If the PUSD versus Pulse moves up in ratio, what it does is with Uniswap, it pulls all of those ratios along with it. So it has an internal balancing mechanism with all of the pairs of each of those pairs.
I get where you're going. I just don't. So I don't know. You've got an unknown target there in how much USD is going to be worth. So I just don't know how you.
And we won't know. We won't know what people's. We won't know how much whether the Pulse is going up because people think this PUSD is very small. Now we have it's not worth as much as an actual dollar. Now we have we have Richard, right, or whoever the OR has been dumping all of the ETH into USD.
Correct.
So they're going to have an absolute fuck ton of PUSD on the Pulse side.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think they're not interchangeable. They're not fungible. So you can't assume that they're going to be used to provide to. Could they? I don't think there'd be enough to be able to back it enough on the. Like I don't think you could use that to back the PUSD. See, I don't. If that's what you're thinking, there wouldn't be enough to back it one for one.
All I'm saying, part of the confusion around PUSD is going to mean that we don't know how much a Pulse is really worth in USD.
That's not true. No.
But it's going to be traded. We're going to look at the PUSD pair and we're going to say it's too much. But we don't know whether that's because people are valuing PUSD at half of what it.
Nah, I'll tell you why I think that's not going to work that way is because Pulse is going to be linked back to the Ethereum network via a pair on the Ethereum side, which will be the thing that probably sets the true real world value of it outside of PulseChain. Because there'll be a heap of arbitrage opportunity, but you're linking it back to something that is a known value and will have a set ratio, so that will set the price of it. But it's going to be crazy as hell on the Pulse side for sure.
So hang on. So let's say the PUSD side on the Pulse chain, let's say all of a sudden Pulse shoots up in value PUSD, right?
So then people arbitrage it.
And then over on the Ethereum chain, let's say it stays at a similar price to ETH. I don't know. I don't know how people will know and which way to arbitrage it.
Yeah, so there'll be a ratio on the ETH side, and it'll get traded against ETH or USD or whatever on the ETH side, and that's got to be the benchmark, I think, in terms of real world price, because they are real, not hard assets, but they're a known quantity in terms of what they're worth. So those ratios will set the Pulse price on the ETH side. It's got to. What happens on the Pulse side is going to be a wild ride, and that will be where. What's that, mate?
So you're saying the Ethereum chain, there's going to be match pulse versus USDC, and that will be the real measure of the pulse price in USD.
That's the only thing you can measure against. That's the one known factor.
And then what happens though? What happens if the price on the Pulse chain, because there's going to be so much more trading on the Pulse chain. So what happens if on the Pulse chain the price goes up?
Oh, it's going to be crazy shit. I'm not saying there's not going to be a lot of volatility in.
But does that mean over on the Ethereum chain, you shouldn't really sell your wrapped Pulse for less than, because you could always just like take it back over to the bridge and get more for it on the other side.
I think the thing that will, and this is the same thing that happened on Matic, is the fees stop that, and how long it takes to do it, because I think Matic had some bloody ridiculous time frame as well. So the only way
they'd do it every few hours, or sometimes they'd wait a day.
Whatever it was. So there was a delay. I mean, the only way you can truly arbitrage between those two systems is hold both assets on both chains and be able to sell and buy on opposites as you need to. You can't be moving them across the bridge. But I like where you're going with it, and I was with you for a bit there. But
I mean, I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is that we're not going to know how much PUSD is valued. We're not going to know whether it's holding its peg or not, because that ratio will just mean that it looks like whatever is against it will be a higher price.
I was going to say something silly. Then I was going to say no, because there'll be pairs where it's trading against USDT. That's in the same boat. I don't know. As soon as an asset that bridges across,
I think it's unknowable what's going to happen.
It is.
It's totally unknowable. And we're going to find out, because this is an experiment. I'm not sure if any of you guys listened to that chat between Eric and Kyle.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That was awesome.
Yep. Yeah, that was great listening to those two minds go at it. Like, obviously Eric, taking the anti-hex pulse position.
He's big on Hex-Rex pleb now, old mate.
Dude, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
I didn't like what he said about Richard Hart either. I wasn't happy about that.
No, and that's what it all boiled down to. Regardless of all the tech side and all that kind of stuff, reducing it all down, it was about what he thought. He thought Richard was a scammer and was just raising, going to be in a constant stream of raising funds for his own good.
That's ridiculous.
That guy is
ridiculous.
And doesn't know how to.
By definition, an educated idiot.
A43 looks like he's busting to say something.
I actually just wanted to ask Unwrecked a question, mate. Is it hard to have a gay time on your own? Is it hard to have a gay time on your own, mate?
Oh, I think it is. Yeah, well, depending on what sort of gay time you're referring to. Oh, look at you go, mate. Look at this. Oh, get out of here.
I have a gay time on your own, mate.
Oh, no. I'll pay that one.
Oh, mate.
Oh, no. And I just...
Mine is fully melted.
Damn, these are actually really good. Unwrecked might be onto something.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah, golf clap. Yeah, very good.
Mine's half melted, but it's all good.
That's good.
Yeah, so's mine.
Dude.
I was wondering
these are way better than I expected.
I thought I wasn't in...
If you go to Vanuatu, this is the most
Thanks for keeping me in the loop.
Well, now no one can talk. It's the first time anyone's been able to talk.
It's the first time we've all been eating one and Unwrecked hasn't. Haven't you got one in the freezer, mate?
I'll just do a quick shout out to everyone in the chat. Hope you're joining us I hope you're enjoying the bit of entertainment. If you haven't, it's one of it is an Australian classic, a favourite ice cream, and I've sort of gone off of a bit. I've just had the last Maxi Bon, and so I can't even join you for one. I switched over to Maxi Bon last week, so you didn't get the memo about that either, did you?
Next week.
Very, very good. Very, very good. That's awesome. That's awesome. Love to see that. Mate, I've been scouring the shops for the new release, the salty gay time, and it's like salted caramels. It's delicious.
That just
It's
sounds
like, and you know how you get birthday cake, you get unicorn, you get Cocoa Pop, you get Krispy Kreme, you get what else?
Check this out.
Yeah, all that.
My one was the
Anyway,
Cocoa Pop one.
Which one?
Oh, yeah,
that was
they're
the
nice,
salty
they're
one,
good.
was it?
Violet crumble.
No, Cocoa Pops.
Yeah.
Yep. Cocoa Pop. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Well,
So,
the
anyway,
crypto
I'm very, very
analogy
bullish
here
on,
is that by the time the masses came in and got on board with the gay time, it was already the founder and the main person involved was already onto the next thing, and we were too late. So Unrect has already moved on to bigger and better things.
It's
coming in late, just FOMOing in on gay times and getting absolutely wrecked.
That was hey, can I just say that was actually Jex's idea. That was a good one. I like that.
Nice. I'll pay that. Very,
Very
very good. Very, very good.
I've
been.
I was just saying we're going to touch on that 3.5 hour audio with Eric Wall and I don't know, like Eric is definitely a very, very smart dude.
You reckon?
And,
yeah, he is.
I don't think so at all.
Educated.
I think
he's really
academic in an academic sense.
Intelligence.
Hang on. I think that he's very, very smart. But he sees blockchain and all this stuff through a different, from a different perspective.
He's a purist.
Right? I think
he's got a hedge fund, and have you seen the performance of it?
Nope.
Did you see the performance of his hedge
No,
fund?
what's his performance?
Good or bad?
Oh, bad, not good.
Is it?
If he had just bought Bitcoin and held it, he would have done better for his investors than whatever his hedge fund is that he's got.
Oh, ouch.
Well, look, that's a different thing altogether. I'm not.
Anyway,
I don't think we need to sit here and try and discredit him. I think he's a smart dude.
No, I'm not
and
at all.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I disagree with
I
his.
vote smart as well.
I disagree with his way of looking at Hex and Pulse, but I think like Kyle is like, we're so lucky to have Kyle.
He was a legend, man. That was. I actually didn't want Kyle to stop speaking.
Great guy.
I was just enjoying what he was saying. Like he was really articulating it. Just awesome. It was Eric was going off on these weird tangents and asking 3 or 4 different bundled questions, and Kyle kept bringing it back and
just ramble on, wouldn't he?
It just seemed like,
and like ramble on and like.
Yeah.
It seemed to me that he said it in the interview. He enjoys the debating side of things, right? And to me, that was like it was a debate for him. He was debating, and he was just taking that position, and he was going to have that debate. So I think we don't really know what Eric Wall really thinks. We don't know what he really thinks and what he's really invested in. I don't think we know. But I do think he is what you said. I think he's a purist. I think he is interested in the tech. So he mentioned that he thought Pulse was like, I don't know, why would you do it this way, or why would you do it that way? He was talking about that it wasn't that that advanced or whatever. But I think the problem is that if you go too experimental with something, then you have the risk of it not working. And we need something that works, right?
We need something.
We need something that's functional.
What he hasn't seen is he hasn't seen blockchain run as a business. And I think that Hex and Pulse are getting run more like a blockchain business. So you're getting the benefits of being in control of your own funds, but you're also getting the benefits of an organization that can move fast, make decisions quickly, and are profit driven or gains driven. And that's what I think Richard does well. That's what he's proven that
come
on.
Look at the
He's proven it on
proof's in the
Hex.
pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's everyone. That's why I said he's a purist. Is he Eric looks at things from pure tech basis, and that could be, I don't know whether that has any impact on his fund and how its performance is, but if you purely look at things on they're innovative and you invest in them just because they're innovative, that doesn't mean it's a great business. There's plenty of tech that goes tits up. So yeah, I think maybe this is that blend. Like you've got the likes of Celsius and things like that, which are just pure centralized organizations, and they're doing it one way. Then you've got Hex, which achieves a similar sort of result, but does it in the blockchain world where you don't have to worry about KYC and all the rules and regulations that go along with all that side of things. So is this the perfect blend, and is this the future of what a lot of blockchain could be? We don't know. We might be looking at something that is actually evolutionary, but people are looking at purely from a tech space instead of a business space. So who knows? It's an interesting thing to be a part of and to watch it play out for sure.
Yep, that was a great. I listened to that.
He also
very eagerly.
He also is incredibly gutless. Like he's afraid to talk about Hex or to talk to Richard because his other friends on Twitter are against it. Like he's just so spineless.
I did see his point on that.
It's
though.
so
like
spineless.
It's a zero. Yeah, but it's a zero-sum game for him. Like if he does it, there's no benefit for him to do it. Like either way, the result is good or bad. There's no benefit for him.
I think it actually ended up working out better because then there wasn't
There's always benefit.
the accusation that Richard could be bait, whereas Kyle came across as a more impartial interviewee, or I mean, like they were both interviewing each other, I guess you could say. And so I think regardless of his reasoning of why he did it, I think it actually worked out better.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
That was good.
You got someone that was really smart on everything Hex, had been in it since the beginning, was instrumental in how it was built, is a dev and can speak his language, but also has the personality to just be really calm and collected and not get emotional about it. And it was awesome.
I'd actually like to hear Kyle. I'd like to hear Kyle do more of that sort of stuff. Like, personally, I think that he could. The way he explains things is, they were both very verbose, but I love listening to that. It was 3.5 hours, and I was hanging on every word they were saying.
Yeah, but Kyle was so much more intelligent than Eric. Like Eric would go off on these rambling kind of things where it was just one little idea, not very good ideas either, and he just jumped from this to that to this to that, and nothing I want to mention, and another thing, and da 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 da. And then Kyle had the wherewithal to note what he had brought up and to start. Okay, well, let's just look at what you brought up first. But then Eric would interrupt him through those to want to bring up something else and to ramble on onto something else. And to me, it showed that he's not very an intelligent person, and he's not a very good debater. And I think that, like, not that he's not intelligent. Obviously, he's an intelligent guy, but I think that he didn't show much of an intellectual rigor into it. I thought Kyle swept him off the floor in that kind of sense, and
straight off the bat. Off the bat.
I think Kyle was amazing, and Kyle's presence to be able to do all those callbacks, because there's a number of points that
the active listening.
For Kyle to go back and bring them and address them all so efficiently, succinctly, and in a very clear is just I was super impressed by Kyle and loved that they had that talk, and I listened to the whole thing, but I wasn't very impressed with Eric, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I was disappointed at the end where the crux of it came back to, I got actually really annoyed where he thinks, and I've mentioned this already, where he thought Richard was just rotating through projects just to collect money.
Thanks, Cause D, for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Nothing wrong with looking at both sides of the coin. Absolutely.
Well, we're going to be doing a bit of that. We're going to be doing a bit of E-hex and P-hex, because I'm very bullish on E-hex and P-hex, or P-hex in particular. I'm very bullish on, and I've just been doing some detailed analysis on. Well, not detailed, but like just I guess from a layman's sense, and try and understand it, because like, as you know, when the Pulse chain was announced and we've been through the sacrifice stage now, I took a back step because I didn't really understand what was going on. My level of learning wasn't where it needed to be. But now that I've had time to sort of work out, okay, this is what's going to happen. I think that I mean, I don't know. You've heard the term magic carpet ride. I don't know where that came from, but like Hex is going to be the best thing on Pulse to start with. I think if you're invested in Hex, it's a no-brainer to be invested in Hex at the fork. Would you agree? We only want to talk to the different, like what's going to happen with E-hex and P-hex, or should we go to the chart? Do we want to do some, find out what's been going on?
We probably should cover. Sorry, you're going to go tangent.
Can I just briefly defend Eric, just super briefly, before we move on too far away from that combo? Is that
tell us what you really think.
So? First of all, he did present the pod as being basically them just having a chat. And while I agree, I noticed that sometimes he was repeating himself and stuff like that. I think it's hard when you're live to know exactly how efficient you're being. And I think he was really trying to get Kyle to see his side of it. So sometimes he was repetitive, and sometimes he did actually sort of try to over-explain things. But the things that I like about him is that he's been reasonably intellectually honest. I think when he has come to different conclusions than what we have, it's been through either an honest misunderstanding, or just that he hasn't been able to go that extra step. Like, I've seen him almost get there. I've seen him think through it and basically admit that it's almost certain that it's going to go up in price based on various mechanisms that are either designed or otherwise, but then just not be able to take that additional step in going, okay, then let's buy some. But I have noticed that on Twitter, he doesn't block hexagons. He replies to almost every comment that people make, regardless of whether they've got a big following or not. And many of the points that his questions and his commentary, I believe, come from a place of genuine comment and criticism and questioning, not from sort of a baseless FUD area. So I think that compared to other people who have criticized Hex in the past, who have been total dodo birds, he sort of deserves a nicer response from the Hex community. That's all I would say.
I think he just likes an intellectual challenge. That's his
good point. Good point.
I agree with you totally, Tangent. 100% agree with you on that. Having said that, Kyle smashed him, man. Kyle.
Oh yeah. If it was a debate, then Kyle was clearly the winner. Like, as in, if this had been a point allocated debate, he absolutely crushed it.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to it, try and dig that out. I'm assuming that link's in the main Hex chat, or even the Pulse chat, maybe. If you might have to do a bit of a search to find it, but it is. I think, what was the title of it? Kyle and Eric have a chat, or something
Kyle
like that.
Kyle and Eric have a pod or something like that.
They do a podcast. That's right. Yeah,
we should be able to pop it into the. We'll pop it into the chat. So
it's on the Tri-Hex channel, which is Kyle's channel.
Yeah, so check it out. Like, even if you think it's a little bit over your head from a technical standpoint, there's so much learning in there. Just I picked up so much from it, from the consensus mechanisms and things like that I was talking about, and what impact different things have on the chains and things like that. So yeah, it was really, really intelligent conversation for sure. I think I walked away a lot smarter after listening to it.
The question that I raised to Eric, and he actually responded, I said, if someone watches that conversation and concludes that it is very likely that Pulse will go up in price based on what you guys have discussed. Because I think he admits that. He basically did admit that Pulse is very likely to go up in price. Then, in my opinion, if you have identified something that has a high potential of going up in value, the one and only reason why I would personally not invest in that would have to be an ethical reason. So unless he can present to me an ethical reason why to not invest in Pulse, then you would have to default to invest in Pulse. Obviously not financial advice. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah. So, and that's that he's not investing in Pulse comes back to exactly what I said, where he's a purist and he thinks it's about the man behind the project.
I couldn't get on board. I couldn't even see his point of view when he was talking about the Sens Foundation stuff and Richard. It's that's like he was
grasping
sort of
straws there,
really ad hominem like him.
Kinetic in the chat. It's going to be republished on the Discourse Syndicate Network too, so that's really great. You'll be able to review that if you haven't already listened to that podcast on Kyle's channel. We're going to have it on the Discourse Syndicate as well, so that's great.
It was a bit too. I thought it was a bit too much on that from that perspective. I mean, you can't like. The guys like put together something that's raised $27 million for longevity research. He was volunteering for it, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You can't make an argument that it's just to, whatever that argument was. It just seemed a bit.
Yeah. I can try to simplify his argument, if you don't mind. Like, as in, do we have time?
Yeah.
That basically what he was trying to say is, he doesn't want to open the door to projects that actually are scams being able to use donations to charity as a way of legitimizing the scam that they are doing. So it's like, hey guys, we raised $100 million, which we effectively stole off our user base, but we gave 10 million of that away to charity. Now he's not saying that is what Richard did. He's just saying that if Pulse gets automatic publicity in the broader crypto space and in the mainstream space, it's possible that other projects that actually are scams will use that as a strategy of getting legitimate publicity and making their projects look more legitimate than they actually are. So he that's all he was saying. He didn't want to open the door.
What's the term? I think the terminology is greenwashing or something.
That's an atrocious
something
argument.
like that. Similar.
That's a really terrible argument, because that means that no one can ever do good in the world, because somebody bad somewhere might use the advertisement of their good to somewhere in the future, do bad to somebody. It
doesn't mean you can't do good. It just means that you can't use that as a proxy for legitimacy.
But that's up to everybody. What he's doing is imagining problems in the future that hypothetically could happen, and he wants to try to prevent those by not acknowledging good acts and not rewarding good acts, because at some point in the future somebody nefarious might be using that as a way to trick people.
He was being a little bit too cynical
down the road, but I think that's reasonable.
When it comes to Richard's motivation for it, I think it was just one step too cynical. Yeah,
that pretty much sums it up. He was just a cynic when it comes to that.
He used a lot of rationalization to maintain his views, and the mental backflips that he uses are just kind of like unnecessary. Like, look at what's actually just happened and what is happening. They raised money for this really good organization. It should be as simple as that.
Exactly. What was he saying? I haven't watched it. Like, what was he degrading Richard's efforts in regards to charity? He should be praised, but Eric's like basically taking a dig at him, like everyone said in the comments. That's how I see. I haven't even listened to it, but that's the impression I got by what people are saying about it. Is that what he was doing?
It was more like if so, for example, if you were BP and you created an environmental disaster of great magnitude, and then afterwards you just went around and cherry picked all the good things to make yourself look like you were doing something good for the world just because you
and even that example,
destroyed the environment.
Even that example, it doesn't even really. I don't think that you can use that example.
We know for a fact that. No,
But-
I was not. That was the thing that upset me the most. I think was the fact that he attacked the man. He went after Richard Hart unfairly, and we've seen that over and over again. And that's why Exicans are so hardened and so.
I think Eric's humble.
And a lot of Exicans they burr up. I've seen you see the Exicans you don't want to upset. You don't want to. It's like poking a hornet's nest. You want to be careful. I
don't think he disrespected Richard Hart. I think he just said that he wouldn't personally promote that charitable deed for those reasons that I explained before.
Well, I can't say too much. I haven't listened to it, but by the post, he put a post up on Twitter the other day saying, Richard Hart in 2018 said he was a billionaire, but he must have meant Satoshis. I mean, what a cocksucker. He didn't even tag him in it, to say, come at me, bitch. He's just doing it all behind his back. I just think it's weak. If you're going to start an argument and call someone out, do it. Do it to them. Go and face them. He won't do that. So, to me, he's just a pussy.
Hey, shout out to Brizology in the chat there, mate. I like your is it a Toyota? Have you seen? Are you allowed to drive around in America with no bonnet? He's got the big golden air scoop feed into the motor, and he's cruising around. Apparently the bonnet blew off. The bonnet blew off as he's driving down the highway, and he just didn't bother going picking it up. He's ordered a new one or something.
What's going on, Brizology?
Why don't
you jump on Brizology? Why don't you come on and say good day?
Come and see us. Come and see us. Come and talk to us. Send in the link. I'll send in the link.
So what else? What else going on? Plenty of good stuff going on. I noticed there's been
We probably should have a quick recap. Is there anything new or that we know in everything Pulse related? So we haven't got any firmer dates. I think they're still calculating all the sacrifice amounts and across the chains. From what I understand, we haven't had a definitive list on that side of things. Anyone got any updates on that? Or
all I can say in relation to we're in the phase where if you want to have a copy of your hex on the other side, you want to pick up some hex. This is and this is not financial advice, but
better do it.
I noticed that we had a little bit of a drop. It might be a nice time to.
It was a significant drop.
So we're
actually
probably where are we? We're in that. Yeah, we're hovering around the 12-cent mark, which is, that's
we're on the bottom of the trend, so it's typically not a bad place to be scooping up things.
Yeah, I noticed that it was just going up, like all the last 24 hours. It started. The dip was just getting bought up, and then we had another dip today. So, and then they just get those little dips just keep getting bought up, don't they?
Can we have a look at the buy and sell walls, if possible?
Have you got that handy, Tangent? You're muted, I think, mate.
Yeah. If you share my screen now, the one that I think that should come up. Can you see that screen that I'm showing?
Yep.
Okay, so we've still got that big section there at 5 cents.
5.5 cents. Yep.
Yep.
That hasn't moved. That's been solid. That buy wall. But
so that's like a
70%
belt and braces. If anyone does a massive sell and bust through that really thin liquidity, that will pull them up pretty short and sharp.
Well, that's
that 5 cent range.
That's his 70% drop, right there. Has it been moving at all, Tangent?
Lately, it hasn't moved around too much. I mean, this maybe has been thinning out on a relative scale. Mm. So this is a little bit scary here. That basically, if we go below 11 cents,
it goes straight down to 5, huh?
There's not much to help stop it from going down.
Yeah, but that's why you see the big wick ups as well. So as fast as that moves down, it moves straight back up because as soon as you get a few buys on there, it whips it straight back up. So I don't think when you see those big sell-offs, they're just getting. You've got to be bang on the money to try and capitalize on those because they're gone in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, there's hardly any opportunity to pick up anything below 7-8 cents. Like it dropped down to 8 cents the other day, and there's basically no opportunity to get it. It just got bought up straight away. So,
the speed at which those drops get bought back up is bullish. You can see it. You can see it here, and you can see it again here.
What I find interesting, and I don't know what your take on this is that there seems to be like some guys. I don't know whether they're deliberately trying to murder the price the way they're executing their orders, or they're just
Dumb.
thick as anything. Yeah, just dumb. Because the way that last one was executed,
doesn't it?
I think someone said it was done as a swap through MetaMask.
Ugh, even dumber.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what someone said. So straight off the bat, you're paying 0.8% just because
you have to remember it could be people who are having massive gains. And
but why do it through MetaMask? I don't get it.
They just don't give a shit.
Yeah, possibly.
If it's a rich person who just plays around with this stuff, and then it's gone up so much, they don't understand markets and how these work, and how you just need to take out a bit over a period of time in order to not lose that slippage. But maybe they're just impetuous.
But why not through even 1 inch or Uniswap, or like why go through MetaMask?
That's showing that they're probably ignorant.
Yeah,
they're paying the extra 0.8.
Andrew, can you get a few more tabs going there, mate? Need a few more tabs there, mate.
Do you want to look? Oh shit! I didn't even realize you guys can see that. Whoops. So on my streams, I normally clip that out so people can't see what I've got open.
Anything open?
And so there's so many of them we can't make it all out.
There's so many of them you can't actually see.
Oh, you're all right, mate. You're all right, mate. I'm just you're all right, mate. Just OPSEC reasons and that.
Yeah. So I guess while we're here, we might as well take a quick look at this is the total cryptocurrency market cap excluding Bitcoin, and that has been on a relentless run over the last couple of weeks.
That's 2 weeks.
Basically, just been up only, just nice, smooth up only action handles. So yeah, that's really good. This is really bullish for the market as a whole, and it's really good that Hex over that same time frame, if we go to daily candles just so it's more comparable, over that same time frame, Hex has been clearly decorrelated of going sideways, up, down, just doing whatever it's doing,
Yep. That's what I was wondering. I was wondering whether someone just got impatient and seen an opportunity elsewhere and was just mashing the sell button just to.
Yeah. I would say lack of education. No one deliberately burns money, and you would argue that if their purpose was to actually deliberately try to push the price down, they would do it a different way again.
Yeah,
so
more
this achieved nothing. This didn't create fear because it bounced back so quickly, and it also didn't save them money. So if they wanted to legitimately sell, they should have used a DEX aggregator, and if they wanted to create fear, they should have done it slower and over a more prolonged period of time. So I would have to assume from those 2 points that it was fat finger style, just lack of education, like lack of knowledge on how best to do these things.
Do we? I don't know. Did we? Was it a single address, or was it just a group? Or, I mean, I haven't.
I'm pretty sure that was
actually. Someone on one of my streams was saying that it was actually they were pointing to a single address. They actually sent me the address. I don't have it at hand, so.
Yeah. I got to admit, I didn't go into too much detail on it. I just went into Hex trading and had a quick look around to see what people were chatting about.
Did they agree with single address?
Yeah, it looked to be. I once again, I didn't go pull it apart though. So I'm just assuming that they were
just
on
sort
the money.
of like point out, like if they've got how much they've got. I mean, you can only sell the Hex once, can't you? Once you're out of ammo, you're out of ammo.
Yep.
And
That is a
we've
20%
all
dump.
seen what-
That is
We've all seen
huge.
what Hex does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
You
huge.
know what Hex can
That
do.
is huge.
Hey, guys, Hexy Babe in the chat. Hey, Hexy Babe. She's asked, what do you guys reckon will happen on day 1 or 2 of launch, with the prices of Hex?
I think the price of Pulse is going to go through the roof. I
Oh.
think because of those PUSD and because all of those pairs have to come back into Pulse, if those people want to like dump what they've got and get out, they've got to dump it into Pulse and then move the Pulse over to Ethereum and then swap it for Ethereum, or swap it for Ethereum on the Pulse side and then bridge it back. So I think and because also we don't know what the USD, like the PUSD, we don't know if it will maintain its peg or not. And I think that it's going to be, in those first couple of days, Pulse is going to pump like no one's business.
And is there
Pulse
anything
is going to
else
pump.
you
What about
reckon
Hex?
other
Well,
than-
that's
You
the
think
other
Pulse is gonna
interesting.
pump?
That's the other interesting thing. If you have Pulse, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to hold it, or a lot of people are going to be buying Pulse Hex with it? P Hex with it as well. So I can see P Hex pumping and Pulse pumping.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me.
I would agree.
What do we think is going to happen with eHex?
Survive and thrive.
I'm suspecting it'll dump straight after the fork. Like they're going to have this thing where people want their duplicates,
Mm-hmm.
and then they all get double. If they want to take any of that cash off the table, I think they're going to keep it in P Hex, and they're going to dump the E Hex. And so I don't know how long it will last, or if it'll blip and then go back up. But I get the feeling that ETH Hex will dump straight after the fork. I don't know how much.
I agree with you that anyone who
I don't
bought
agree with
Hex
that.
before the fork, specifically to get the mirrored coins, might then dump, i.e., buy Hex, wait for the snapshot, and then sell it, and then get the free, well, not free, but get the mirrored coins across the other side. But obviously, other market forces could come into play. Large whales or whatever could offset that action. But I do think that does sound reasonable, that some people will be doing that.
I think it's all about the T-shares, and I really think they're going to follow the cheaper Hex to get the more of the T-shares, and they're just going to go in between. So just say one day Pulse is cheaper to get a T-share, everyone will go over there, and then if the ETH side's cheaper the next day, they're all going there and get those cheap T-shares, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Not
But
about
Richard Hart said he doesn't want to see cheap Hex anywhere. And
Good
do you
point.
want this can of Coke or this can of Coke?
The question is, how hard can something dump when there's not that much supply left? Like, how hard can it really dump? I mean, I know it can dump. I know it can dump, but
it'll dump down to 5 cents. It could easily dump down to 5 cents.
Well, the time to launch, we could be. I mean, what's the bullish case scenario? I've heard some of the numbers are saying that we could push out the price could push up to 25 cents once the snapshot date's announced, and once certain things are, like as we get closer to the launch to the fork, that Hex is going to pump because of that very reason. The fact that people are trying to get it on this side of the fork so that they can get their P Hex on the other side, then of course that's going to push the price up, don't you think? Well, we've already seen these dips just getting bought up.
You'd think at least double from here.
Sellers are getting wrecked. If you sell the price, if you sell your Hex, then the price goes against you. We've seen that.
I reckon it's a wrong move to think that it's going to dump and you're going to make off like a bandit if you sell it.
I don't think it's going to dump that much.
I reckon you'll be sorry if you do that. Everyone's going to play their own. Everyone's going to have a little strategy, and like everyone had a strategy for the sacrifice phase, and I'm sure none of it worked out the way they thought.
So the thing that this reminds me of the big payday.
Yep.
That everyone had their strategy, what they thought was going to work. What was it? What happened at big payday? Let's assess what happened. After big payday, there was a dump, and the people who got in and bought got bargains, and it came straight back up. came
Yep.
straight back up immediately. So I remember when that dump happened, it was bedlam. It was like everyone was trying to.
It was a big day, wasn't it? Wasn't there a
Everyone was
live
trying to
stream? It was
get
like a
that.
24-hour live stream or something going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
everyone's
think
just trying to buy. Yeah.
so that's what's going. I think that's what's going to happen. I think
Yeah,
that it might go down, it might wick down, and then people are just going to be throwing like money at it to buy it up.
Yeah,
People are waiting for it. People are waiting for cheap.
Hexicans can't bear to see cheap hex. They can't bear to see it. They see cheap hex, they got to buy it. They got to buy it, and I think the same is going to happen with P hex.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
the easiest way to avoid it all is just to stake your hex long and just collect the interest and don't worry about whatever this price action is, because it could get volatile straight after the fork, but it'll only be a matter of time until all the good game theory kicks in and we see the same trajectory that we've been seeing for hex on both sides.
Yeah, I think so. Someone's just put in chat there that all these things might be synergistic as well. So you've got E-hex playing into P-hex, playing into Pulse, and if they're all circulating around, and you can game that so that it's a good feedback loop, we might all get a big surprise in a nice way.
I'm actually excited about the on the Pulse hex side of things. The fact that like the cheaper transactions will mean that you'll be able to use the staker wallet more and use that do those batch stakes. And I know I think there was a post recently from the staker boys. They've been working really hard on maximizing efficiency on the gas fees, because I really like that concept. I really like that staking ladder concept. The fact that you can just go in there and say, I want to do a 5-year ladder for every month for 5 years, and I've got this much hex, and then just press the button and away it goes. I really like that concept.
You can only polish a turd so much, mate. Like the ETH fees are screwed. Like, doesn't matter how efficient.
Yeah, but
you are
I'm
with
saying
them.
on Pulse it'll be different. I'm talking about on Pulse when the
Pulse
walk happens.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to use you'll have that added functionality to do those nice staker app.
Is that trustless unracked?
Nice staker app. In terms of what
when you go and use that third party to create the ladder for you, is it trustless? Like, as in you still.
Yeah, so
you hold your private key.
Day 43 might know this a bit more, but I think the Genosis wallet holds the key to it, so it's done on behalf of your Genosis safe, I should say.
Yep.
I think it's a silent key.
The Gnosis safe is what holds the keys to the stakes, but you hold the keys to the contract of the Gnosis safe. So it's like a layer, like you're one step back. And what it actually means is that you can that Gnosis safe could be transferred, like the keys, the seed phrase that you get controls the Gnosis safe, like is owner of the Gnosis safe.
So no one can just steal the funds off you. It's you still fully in control.
That's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you can add more owners to it. So you could add a Trezor to it. You could add a MetaMask account to it. So it becomes part of that signatory. It's pretty cool. It's good tech.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's just that you've got to be aware that extra layer means that you have contract risk. You have the Gnosis contract.
You have software risk,
Very good point.
Which is no different to the device you're using. That has software on it, or firmware. Just moves sideways in terms of risk. There's always going to be code risk.
And the Trezor is open source, but Ledger is not open source.
It's a different type of risk in terms of...
Yeah, I know
What
it
does
is,
that mean?
but there is still code risk.
Yes.
Okay.
I keep coming back to exactly what Unwrecked said about how that comment that Richard said one time at least on a stream live, when he said, quote, "I do not want to see cheap hex anywhere," that just sticks in my mind. And I think that we probably won't see cheap hex on either chain.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's right.
I think there'll be a concerted effort not to.
You know?
And if it is cheap, it won't be cheap for too long.
Exactly.
You got to expect some sort of market price discovery, and that's just the way it is. But like, yeah, I think
How much hex just got sacrificed? Can someone remind me? How much hex?
Yeah.
Like
Good
how
point.
much hex just got taken?
Oh man,
off
it
the
was
market?
hundreds of millions,
13,
wasn't it?
14 billion. It was 112 billion.
Oh no!
113
Exclude the billions that went in on the last day.
No,
Excluding
it was billions of hex, wasn't it?
It was
billions,
yeah.
or was it millions of hex?
Aside from the old
it
hex,
was
billions.
I think it was hundreds of millions of dollars
Billion.
worth of hex. It was. I think. Hex was the
I'm not sure
most-
if I can. I don't know if I've got any easy way to.
no, it was billions, wasn't it? It was billions
Yeah,
worth.
it was. Yeah, it was billions.
Billions worth of hex.
It would still be in that. Is
But
it
it's
still?
not-
What's
it
that
doesn't
really
address?
billions before
Yeah.
before the last day.
Let
Yeah,
me
but it's
check.
taking it from an illiquid.
113 billion hex.
But it's taking it from hex that was just sitting there doing nothing, and it's putting it somewhere else into hex that will just sit there and do nothing. So the actual hex that's being taken off the market in terms of is only
No,
really.
I'm talking about before. Before
We need to clarify whether we're talking about hex or dollars worth of hex. So in
I'm talking
dollar
about
terms,
hex.
Okay.
I'm just talking
so
about
you
hex.
guys talking about
13 billion.
the numbers of hex.
Yeah, there's 13 or 14 billion in dollar
So
terms.
it's 113 billion hex, 113 billion hex, and then $13 billion. So 113 billion hex worth $13 billion. Is that right?
No, but
$13 billion.
unrect. I'm saying we need to exclude the action on the last day, just purely because some people are accusing that of being
So
from
it's
the
at
OA.
least
So
1 billion hex.
So I think it's important that we're talking about the hex that was sacrificed that was not from OA.
About a billion.
Gotcha.
A bit over a billion.
It was
Did
about
you
$1 billion.
Did you guys
Actually, hex graphs. No, not hex. Hex graphics rocks. I think.
Hex
graphics? Should we bring it up?
Graphics.
Did you guys see the Colin Talks Crypto video
Yeah.
on why hex polls could be a bad idea?
Yeah, that guy's also clueless.
Yeah, I know, right?
He doesn't understand security. He doesn't. He's confusing decentralization in order to secure a network with like decentralization of wallet holding.
No. I think he's on the right path. He's because you're talking proof of stake, so it's a little bit different story. So I don't think he's off the mark, but I guess you've got to come back to behaviors of that entity that we've seen Hex and how it plays out. And
No, hang on. I think you're wrong.
I don't know.
You're going to be securing the net. So you're saying that if there's 33 validators, that Richard could just overtake all of these validators and just make and do anything he wants to the chain with using all of his
stake determines who the validators are.
Then people will move. If he turns out to be a bad actor, then people will just, because it's about social consensus.
Yeah,
it's not about.
Agreed. Yep.
But he can delegate to the validators that he wants.
True.
Is that the point? That's
yeah.
That's not validating a chain. That doesn't mean that he has like influence over them.
You do if you control enough validators.
Yeah. No, you don't. I mean, unless he spun up all of the validators, but then people could just not use that chain that was validating that chain if they thought those validators were all from the same one person and were nefarious.
Yeah, so you're right. People can vote with their feet.
Yeah,
and that's what happened with Steam, or was it Steam and Hive or something like that, where they?
No, with them, what happened was that Justin Sun rang up his mate CZ.
Yeah.
Had a whole lot of Steam sitting on his chain.
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about.
All of that Steam.
Yeah.
Use it to overtake.
Exactly.
To overtake the network.
So that's what we're saying. So that can happen.
That Hive split, hey?
So that can happen. That can happen. So if you get someone with all the coins, that can happen. But the community there showed that they voted with their feet and said, okay, if you're going to do that, we'll fork it and take those coins out of commission.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's the whole social thing. Now,
well, you'd be killing your own chain.
That's right. I don't look at. We know that the way the OA's acted in Hex is, and that's what I'm saying. It comes back to running a blockchain like a business, and a business doesn't crucify itself. So, in the same regard, on Pulse, it's going to act like a business and do things in the best interest of the chain and the participants and things like that. And it may choose not to. That entity may choose not to stake at all, and that way everyone that was in the leaderboard, that's the pool of funds that are getting delegated.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't delegate.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. Well, so what happened in the early days of Hex? This is before Big Payday. If you recall, the OA staked a bunch because it thought that was the thing that would be good for the network. So it took supply off the market, which reduced the market cap, but was that scarcity factor. And then it quickly realized, no, that's actually not what we need. So then it literally 180'd reverse course and unstaked everything to its detriment. So it was getting diluted because that was the better thing for the network at the time. And that can still change now, depending. We don't know what the hell is going to happen with this fork. So the OA may behave differently across that period of time as well to protect everything. And I think a similar thing will play out in Pulse, where if not delegating is the right thing to do to let everyone choose the validators and have a say, that's fine. But if someone comes in and starts messing shit up, it'll probably step in and do what it needs to do to protect the network. If you're giving, there's a way it can get diluted as well. So although it's a cap supply, by virtue of not delegating or not staking and fees getting burnt and rewards are going to the stakers, does it then get diluted by not getting those rewards?
No, he's got too much.
I know. I'm saying that would play out over decades, but yeah, it is a lot. I know what you're saying, but it is in effect
Maybe
a similar thing that's happening. That's right. But it's in effect is essentially what's happening with the OA and Hex at the moment. It's getting diluted. Now, it's not going to get diluted out of existence, but it is getting diluted. So it's taking a hit for the team.
Yeah, there are two things going on here. There's what's possible, and then there's what is likely when you factor in game theory and incentive structures, etc.
Right. Yeah.
And so I agree 100% with what Jex is saying. And so, but I think it's intellectually honest to admit when something is possible. So you take the sort of like Chris Bleck / Eric Wall sort of attitude or view where you say, yeah, look, this is possible and that would be detrimental. But then what hexagons actually do, which these guys don't do, is on top, they add on top of that, or they go a step further and say, while that's possible, it's not expected or it's not likely because of this, and this reason. So, and I think that is the most intellectually honest but where you're combining truth with reality.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a really good comment from Taylor Kennedy, that he wouldn't exclude the 14 billion hex dollars worth of hex sacrificed. I agree, we're definitely not discounting.
I agree. I agree with that as well.
I guess what we were. What do you mean?
Discount? You mean discount?
Well, why
hold
are you
on.
trying to exclude it from the
Hey
title?
guys, shut up. Let me talk. Jesus. The reason I think that we were discounting it, and we were just looking at what supply of hex had actually been taken off the market that was likely that could have been sold or dumped onto the market, right?
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Yes.
Right. So we're not discounting, we're definitely not discounting the $14 billion worth of hex. That is legit being sacrificed, and it is legit sacrificed. But what we were talking about was what could have actually been dumped, and
Day 43. That's exactly what I was about to say. It's about the diamond handing of the hex.
Okay.
So, well, look, we want the amount that has moved from potentially weak hands into diamond hands, and if you assume that the OA was already diamond handing the shit out of their hex, then that going to the sacrifice of address doesn't change anything.
Yeah. I'd go one step.
How many addresses were there? I'd just ask a question. Go Bluey. You right, mate? Go.
Well,
I want to find out after you've talked. Go, mate.
Well, I just want to point out that what the OA did there was not a sacrifice, because they're just getting it back. We all made real USD value dollar sacrifices to that pool. But what the OA did, it was not, you could not consider it a sacrifice, because they're just moving it from one hand to another, and they're getting it all duplicated as well anyway. So I just want to point that out. Not that I disagree with what the OA did. I just want to point out that, like, that 14 billion, like with what
let's talk about adoption. Let's just talk about adoption for a minute, because I want to know, and I know there's a website that's been developed on PulseChain.com that shows, like the rankings and things like that. But just roughly, what were the total number of addresses that sacrificed during the phase? And just a quick shout out to everyone that donated to Sens as well. You guys are the heroes, because that's a really good cause. It might save your life and your loved one's life in the future. But does any of you guys know what roughly?
I think we were throwing around 40,000 before, Henrik. Was that right, Jackson?
Around about 40,000.
Yeah. So 40.
Yeah,
I think there was more than 40, but
45,
also consider that I know of a lot of pooling that went on.
Oh,
so.
Okay. What does that mean? Lots of addresses, or
so addresses came together
in one address.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
So I think that there's probably a lot more multiples you could put on that as well. At least for probably for a lot of the higher addresses, there would have been multiples of.
So I just want to say just one thing quickly. Look, I've been sort of like just poking around the Pulse chat things lately and listening in to different conversations, and I've been hearing that people are latching onto the Pulse and they understand it quickly, but they're coming into Pulse and then they're finding out about Hex, and there's some anger, and rightfully so, that they feel like they didn't get the opportunity for Hex because of the gatekeeping and some of the silly buggers that goes on in crypto. And I just think that's, like, that's really, and like fair dues. I mean, those people have legitimate gripe there, because the crypto space is filled with paid shills, but like the paid shills are wrecking their followers, and we've seen it time and time again. I mean, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, easy to see in hindsight as well.
Can I add to that? Unread Pot, I was going to say the same thing. You know how many comments I've seen from people saying, I missed out on Hex, so now Pulse is my second chance.
You haven't missed out on Hex, by the way. No. They haven't missed out. They haven't.
It's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's to the Telegram groups, it's everywhere. So,
but there's a value proposition in Hex always. There's a value proposition in Hex always, and there's positive feedback loop and pumpermentals in play. So, you've got to start somewhere. You start a journey with the first step, and so even if
the problem,
and that's why I think it's such a great community as well, because people support each other. We're not here to try and wreck other people. We want everyone to be successful. You can be successful unless it's if you want to be your own bank, if you want to get control of your financial future and things like that. Hex is the best vehicle that I've seen, and I've done stocks. I've tried different ways to save money, and nothing's worked like Hex works. That's just
people they're not realizing. So they're doing what cryptos taught them to do, and that's evaluate things on market cap. So they look at Hex and look at the market cap and think they're late, and the reality is the total opposite. We know that market cap is an arbitrary number that means absolutely nothing, and the Hex has already proven that, and not even to the extent that it's going to prove it. When Hex goes up another 10x, that is going to make people, their face will melt, because people like CoinMarketCap are just going to struggle with it at that point. They're already struggling. That metric is that metric is fast losing relevance, and everyone's going to total value locked, and which is what it should be, because that represents more of the actual economic energy locked within a system. And I'm still not convinced whether that's the best measure either, but it's probably better than market cap. So people looking at Hex think they're late, and the reality is this shit's just taken off. Like, it hasn't even really gotten started. Yeah, we're going to see some pretty crazy market cap figures, but don't think that's a limit on how high HEX can go price wise. And we're going to see the same thing happen with Pulse as well, because it's got a massive supply. So it's going to have 130 trillion-ish supply, probably plus. So every time we get a 10x on Pulse, that is going to be massive on the market cap. So that's really going to put people in a spin.
They must be getting they must be getting put on their heads over there. Those coin market cap gatekeepers and all that shonky stuff. They must be squirming. They must be like, oh, I just can't wait.
The moment we flip,
I mean, like,
the moment we flip ETH or Bitcoin's market cap, that will be when everything just melts down. Because
it's so funny.
For now, it doesn't. For now, it still doesn't look like.
Hang on. Hang on. Let's look more broadly now. Let's look at this, sort of like just do a little bit of a big picture analysis here. People are seeing what governments are doing, and then now we've got this technology that we can depend on because it's mathematics, it's computer science. Now we can't. I mean, like I love HEX and I love the human behaviors and within the HEX. I really the human behavioral science aspect to HEX really interests me. But this is actually a sounder form of money. This is a better currency. This is something that is code. It's mathematics. It's not a small group of people down in Parliament deciding to send bonds to the Reserve Bank and just printing off inflation and paying it to their banker fat cat mates, is it? It's I don't know. I just think it's world changing. The blockchain is the technology. I underestimated the blockchain. Look, I just heard. So I don't know why. I just heard something that it was a way to sort of like it was a good thing to sort of look at, and I had a look at it.
Trick that fully restores healthy prostate.
Who was that?
Oh, yeah, I'm down to urologist down at the BD clinic.
I was trying to.
I was just playing in the background. Sorry about that. World Wide Web.
I was trying to find a video to bring up in the next clip, and his bloody head came on.
What happened, Jexer?
Is that you?
Oh, nothing. Just an ad on prostate
for medical research. Quite happy to donate all my organs. When I'm gone, I don't need them. Oh yeah. Anyway,
moving right along.
Yeah.
So what I was actually searching for was there was a. I don't normally sort of listen to Michael Saylor and all those guys, but there was something I watched from Raoul Pal's. It's called An Introduction to the Exponential Age. And I think it's actually worth going back and watching, because this is a guy that's come from the legacy finance world, and the way he only got involved in Bitcoin, I think, in 2018 or something like that, or might have even been after. But his take on the macro economy and why he's interested in Bitcoin, and he even goes down and he talks a little bit about NFTs and things like that, which still I think there's a little bit of work to be done on that side. But just go back and watch this interview, and it's about 3 months old. I think it was done early on in the year. But if you don't get why HEX can go up so much, go back and watch this video, because they just talk about the way these assets and tech assets move exponentially. And it's a really good listen just from that point of view, to get your head in the space and understand why, when you go back and you look at Wales doing his charts and things like that, why he's doing his charts like that. And it's definitely worth a watch. So sorry you had to listen to my prostate advert.
Can you tell us, where was that? Is that a podcast or a YouTube?
It's a YouTube. It's called. I'll put the link in.
Yeah, pop it in the chat
for you.
so that the guys can go check it out if they want to.
Yeah. Bear with me a sec. It's probably going to fire up.
If you're over 45, make sure you go and do your PSA. It's a simple blood test, and and prevention is the best, and early intervention and prevention is the best way to solve a very, very serious men's health issue, prostate.
It's not spoken about enough, is it?
It's not, because men don't particularly like having a index finger shoved up their anus, do they?
Some do.
It's necessary when it may be necessary for older gentlemen for their own health and well-being in the future, and you don't want to die that way.
So I've put that in the private chat. I think when I try and post them on the YouTube, it doesn't let me to links. So maybe if you can pop that on there, day 43.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
We've lost one, have we?
Okay, how we doing for time?
No, we're good, mate. We're good for time. We got plenty of time.
We're cruising along.
We got plenty of time.
All right, well, let's just roll.
Yeah,
there's heaps to talk about. We've
So
barely scratched the surface, haven't we?
I popped that Jex's link in the chat. You know, so you guys, if you want to
have a listen, it goes for about an hour. It's a good listen.
Not right now, though.
Not right now. No, stay with us. Yeah.
Stay with us.
You're a better listen than that.
I've got a feeling we're going to have a guest very soon. I've got a feeling.
Okay.
I'll keep it on the down low.
All right.
But
All right.
Should we be worried?
So,
maybe.
so do you guys all reckon that this is a bull trap? Like what I'm saying
Maybe.
for Bitcoin and Hex? I mean, for Bitcoin and ETH and stuff, or
Yeah. See, for me, I was thinking not a while back, and then hey, RG.
Hey.
Well, hello, Aussies. How you guys doing?
Good.
Buddy.
How are you?
I'd be better if you guys weren't getting kicked off of the stream by YouTube.
Are we? Oh, because the titties.
oh, that thing.
Are we getting kicked off? Are we?
No, you guys are good now. We lost the other one, the one you started. I think it was the thumbnail that did it.
Yeah.
Unless Sammy was doing something. Was that you, Sammy? Were you doing something that we missed?
They were nice titties, though.
We don't know who they belong to, though.
That was a fan contribution. A fan contribution. Okay.
I thought that was Friday night from Unwrecked.
That's next week.
That's next week. I'll be looking forward to my update.
The week after.
What's happening, RG?
Oh man, I don't know. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I got up at 3. I couldn't sleep. I have nightmares of losing my T-shares.
You said that on DS today. Gee, what are you doing today, bro? You got to go to work? You still working, or are you just chilling today?
No, I still work. But I mean, I only do it because I guess I need something to do. It's just not time yet. I mean, gosh, man, Hex has changed everything for us. But I still don't see a reason to leave. I love my job. I got my dream job finally, you know, and so I've been having a good time. Isn't it the weirdest thing, man? You know, like you work your whole life to get somewhere, and then you finally make it, and then all of a sudden it's like, nah, you're not going to get to keep that because you got this other thing you got to go do now, and you know, so I don't know. It's been kind of weird and surreal for me because, like I said, I do have my dream job, and I'm happy doing it, and it's everything I've always wanted to do, and as far as a career goes. But now there's this whole thing with Hex where gotta replan the life, which is a Cadillac problem. It's a Cadillac problem. And you guys were saying something earlier that I wanted to explain something to people. If you think you're too late for Hex, it's like, oh, Pulse is my second chance and too late for Hex. Most of us sitting here got in. I was a day oneer, but I didn't FOMO in day one. I listened to Richard, and I waited, and I kind of like waited for the right opportunities. And there was opportunities in those first few months where literally $80 ETH, because ETH had dumped it to about $80, and I bought some of it when it dipped, and some $80 ETH were buying millions of hex. So literally you can get 1 million hex for 1 ETH. So now everybody sitting here who's feels like they're late to the table is going, oh my God, that's absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I'll never get to attain that level or whatever, And of course not. You're never going to be, a day one Bitcoiner. You're never going to be a Richard Hart, mining it whole blocks and just making hundreds and thousands of Bitcoins and all that kind of stuff. Those days are, in the past, but you got to realize that today is going to be the past too for somebody else. And you're here today and you have the opportunity to get in still ground floor of hex. And to put that in perspective, so I get hex when it's Satoshis, right? I mean, we all bought it when it was Satoshis. But I bought hex yesterday, a lot of hex yesterday at 12.5 cents. And I think it's down a little bit. But I'm still buying hex. I'm still getting it in. I know that it's gonna what it's gonna do for my value. So if you think you're late, you're not even close to being late. You're still as early can be. If you were to, there's a video out there. One of the early haters who tried to dump on our heads and shit in the beginning. There's a video showing how he dumped his 150 million hex, like right in the first few months, right? Yeah. And if you watch there's an edit in that video where the chart is actually like moving up while everybody's talking. Richard's talking, the chart's moving up, right? And if you watch that chart and you watch that chart moving, and it starts out, and you see a big, giant candle and then a big dip on day one. And then you start to watch it starting to move up and you're like, wow, look at that thing go. Look at that thing go. And then we go all the way to April of that first year. And we just had a monster run up, right? Just this monster run up. You're like, oh my gosh, that is like nosebleed freaking, I'm afraid of heights. That thing is up there, right? That is like amazing. There is no way that anything could ever, look like this again. This is insane. And then as time goes on and that chart continues to rise, that monster mountain of a freaking gain turns into a line. It turns into a flat line. That whole first 6 months turns into a flat line. When you thought it was just monster gains, it disappears into nothing. So everybody in that whole area there who thought they missed out, because I'm telling you, we had people coming on stream, oh, I missed out. I didn't get in 6 months ago. I didn't get in 4 months ago. I didn't get in 3 months ago because of these big monster, wicks and candles and run-ups that we saw. Guys, this all turns into a flat line. You're just in, you're in early. It's there. If you look at Bitcoin's chart, it did the same thing. Ethereum's chart, it did the same thing. There's years of flat line when all it was doing was running up dollars, pennies, nickels, dimes, dollars, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. Hex has some legs in it still it ain't going anywhere. It's an immutable contract. That's why Hex isn't going anywhere. That's why it's going to get so popular, and it is going to go viral one day. It will go viral. And we're starting to see the beginnings of that, because we've got influencers that are trying to bang their heads up against it, and they're failing miserably. We're seeing CoinMarketCap and all these people banging their heads up against Hex and failing miserably. It's just, they can't stop it. They don't understand it. They don't want it to do what it's doing to the rest of the crypto space, but it's inevitable. And they will all fail. We will win. We already have won. They just don't realize it yet. And you're in early, guys. I'm telling you, the biggest whales haven't got into Hex yet. And you guys just said that earlier. So hold on to your seats.
I can say that I regret not buying more when it was cheaper. I regret. I think. I mean, put up your hand here if you regret not buying more when it was sub 1 cent. Hey.
Well, of course. I mean, that's
even when it was
At
4
time,
cents,
no,
when it was
but
6 cents, you say the same thing.
Point, no, that's right.
Hindsight's 2020 though.
But at the time when it was like 0.9 of a cent, or it was the same people saying the same thing that they're saying now, that like, oh, I've missed the boat. I've already missed the boat, right? And this is what you're saying, RG. I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's too. I wish I'd bought more. I was buying then, and I wish I'd bought more back then. And I'm buying now, but maybe I should be buying more. I don't like it's one of those things. You
I mean, well, you look at if today was hindsight, right? If you had your crystal ball and you knew that Hex was going to $100, what would you be doing at 12 cents?
That's right.
What would you be doing at 12 cents?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's going to $1, what would you be doing at 12 cents? Well, I'm gonna call it right here. Hex will go to $1.
Yeah,
it will go to $1.
And I think it'll go there sooner than most people think.
I think so too. So this 12 cents, this
always
is
surprised
nothing.
us. Always surprise us. Yeah.
Always, right? Unwrecked. We'd be on stream talking about pennies and nickels and laughing at ourselves, calling ourselves moon boys for talking about pennies and nickels and dimes, and Hex has blown that out of the water, and I'll guarantee you something else too. That 56 cents is going to get hit. Richard called that, and he is going to hit 56 cents. I'll guarantee you that. That is not going to not happen. 10,000X is going to happen, and then beyond once it hits that.
100%.
So even if Hex was to massively underperform,
what a journey.
In where else do you put your money that you've got sitting in a savings account now? Like, leave it sitting in a savings account, getting rotted away by inflation. Even if Hex
that's what I did.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, if Hex was just
treat Hex like a savings account.
Started going really, really slow and only went up 200%, which is highly unlikely. That is still massive. That is like, if you knew something was going to go up 200%, you'd put your money in it. Like, you're just going to sit there getting 0.5% in the bank, or not even. So it's a no-brainer even from that point of view. Even if it doesn't achieve where we think it will go. So yeah, if you can find better places to put your money, good luck.
It's early days in Hex.
A couple of those pumps that you mentioned, that first pump that flatlined RG3, that one in April, that brought tears to my eyes. I was kind of real new. I was like real, a noob. I was like a noob. And when that happened, I just thought that Richard Hart, he's done it. I don't know. I just had this feeling it was like in here like this, it was something else, that experience, and that's going to happen again to a lot of people. And look, as you say, we are getting the engagement now, and the Discourse Syndicate Network has given us a platform, and we've got a slightly different style, and I hope everyone is having a wonderful time and tuning in, and we're getting over 200 consistently. 200, 300 people on our streams every week now, and it's really great. The community is awesome. The people are outstanding. We've got the level of expertise, the resources, the help is all out there. If there's nothing to be intimidated by. You can baby step in. You can just dollar cost in and just put your instead of putting your money into put your money in your little piggy bank. Instead of doing that, you just put your digital coins across from the exchange. You buy your ETH or your USDC, and you swap it for Hex, and then you stake your Hex. It's brilliant. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's
I wanted to reiterate
life changing for a lot of people.
Exactly. And for the new people, I talked about this last night. So if you missed it, I wanted to just reiterate something, a strategy for people that are DCAing in, who think that they've missed the boat, who think that, it's an arduous task to get in and Hex and start staking when you only have a few $100s or whatever, something like that. Well, I want to tell you that, you didn't miss the boat, and you've got a big opportunity here. And one of the strategies, if you're looking to be a staker class, and you're looking to take the full benefit of Hex and what it's worth. And again, of course, this isn't financial advice. This is Hex advice. I'm teaching you how to use your Hex. because Hex is a tool. It's a tool. Now, whether it's valued by other people is going to determine what the market price of Hex is. But if you're using Hex and you want to use Hex, the experts are here. You're listening to the experts. And here's one of the things that I would suggest if you're DCAing in and you want to do 555 stakes, and especially if you're young. If you're under 40, you have no excuse not to work this plan. So the plan is like this. You want to start out at your 15-year stakes. You want to go out there and start building 15-year stakes and then work yourself back. Dollar cost yourself in with your Hex back to today's date, whether it's going to be an income ladder or just an event ladder. I did both. I looked at events in my life, I wanted, somewhere around time for my daughter's wedding, kids' colleges, big anniversaries, birthdays. I put stakes out for all those things to enjoy those things in my life. So I put events out there, and then I built an income ladder. So in 2022, I'll start receiving a monthly income from my stakes. I pushed them out a couple years, and I went every month for all the way to as far as I can go. And what I'm going to do is, pull the interest off of that and then restake my principal, because again, I am in utter fear of losing my T-shares. I mean, I tremble. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and in a cold sweat because I do not want to lose my T-shares. I'm terrified of that. So whatever I can do to keep those T-shares, and I think that everybody should have that healthy fear of losing your T-shares, because if you don't, then you don't understand what Hex is. Because at the end of a stake, they disappear, guys. You love them, and they're gone, and they've done you well, and then boom, what are you going to do now? Do you just take the money and run, or are you going to continue to have your Hex miner back out there? So that's something to consider also when you're making these stakes, is that your shares are the most important thing that you've got. So treat them like you don't want to lose them.
Your share of the staked pool. So right now we're talking in T-shares, but as we get closer to that 10-year mark, we're not going to be able to extend the stakes out and actually get more T-shares anymore. So I'm going to be moving my focus at that point in time to my percentage of the staking pool. What is my percentage of the staking pool? I want to maintain that percentage of the staking pool. So I'm gonna be moving my focus to that at that point in time. But yeah, T-shares is where it's at, definitely. So you went with the monthly stakes, RG.
Well, no, I have a lot of different. So I have event stakes. So I have stakes for big events in my life, and then I have an income ladder stake, and then I have my 15-year wall stake. So at 15 years, I didn't just put one big stake out there. I put a lot of bricks out there, like I call them, and that's just in case at 7.5 years we have a monster run up. If we have a monster run up and Hex is $5, $10, $15, $20, it would be sure nice to pull one of those stakes off the wall and not let it affect all the rest of my 15-year stakes, and benefit from that. So I created my 15-year staking wall because look, I look at it from a 53-year-old guy's perspective, right? And that means I need to have access to my capital in these years. Some of you young folks, you don't have to worry about that. You've got, 2 15-year stakes before you get to my age. So, you're in your 20s and shit, 30s, you can do 2 15-year stakes before, you get to my age. So you can do what you like. But
imagine being.
Oh, I mean, it's insane. It's insane. But so I had to set up my strategy.
Finding Hex 20 years ago. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I'd be dead by now.
We all play the game, but that's the beauty of that. Is the beauty of it. That is what you just said there, RG. Is the beauty of it. Is the fact that you can play your own game.
You know what I was?
It's customizable. Yeah, it's customizable.
Yep. I was listening to Brand the other day, and he brought up a really good point. He's like, with this fork, we're getting our big payday bonuses again.
Yeah.
It's like a second. It's just
That's
it's
insane.
crazy. Eh? Hey, there's a couple
gift
of
that keeps giving.
questions.
I mean, hey, Richard Hart's the giving tree, he said, and he goes, and Tangent even extended that further. I'll just repeat that little joke. Richard Hart's Santa Claus. How's he delivering all the presents? Well, there's an airdrop on the blockchain.
So let me answer Hodl Dog real quick. So Hodl Dog says that those have big payday in them, so I won't get a good deal. Well, Hodl Dog, what I'm saying is that at $10, $15, or $20 hex in 7.5 years or so from now, look what Ethereum and Bitcoin did in their 10 years. What if hex is sitting at hundreds of dollars? I'm telling you, it's not going to matter. You're going to have so much money, you won't be able to spend it. So literally there are going to be hexagons. Yeah. So you're given back into the pool and you with all the penalties and everything. And then you're going to be able, believe me, there's going to be enough there to make a significant, and I'm talking about it being a significant price. I'm not talking about if hex is sitting at, 18 cents then, I'm talking about if something was to, make a serious run up, there may be an option there, especially for a guy that's in my age. 7.5 years from now, guys, I'm going to be 60 fucking something years old. So piss off, right? Because I'm going to do what I need to do because I'm going to enjoy the last few years of my life. You guys that are in your 30s and 40s at that time, yeah, piss off, man. I'm fucking doing what I need to do. So anyway.
Yeah, I think we all.
90s.
I think it pays to go back and like if you think you're late, go back and look at the Bitcoin chart. Go back and look at the Ethereum chart, and go check out. I think it's Hexgraphs. Is it hexgraphs.win? Is that 10 Alexa 10 site? And have a look when you overlay the hex chart on top of those charts, and that'll give you that'll give you a picture of where this is heading and how fast it's getting there, because it's based off the same technology and the same mathematics. If you're finding it hard to envisage where you think it can go, have a look at some of those charts and check it out.
Yeah, Jexa, I was going to say exactly the same thing before. Although you can't assume that it's going to follow the exact same path as other things, I've just had friends my entire crypto life thinking that they're too late, and every time they look back on it, they would have done really well to have just not thought like that and got in. And it's but then also people don't learn from that, so they don't look back at the last time they thought they were late, and so then they're like, "Oh, I thought I was late and I was wrong, but now I'm definitely too late." And then that just keeps going over and over again. You know what I mean?
That's why I wanted everyone to watch that video that I put in there, because they talk about Metcalfe's law and the network effect, and that is what Hex is currently going through, and it's at the very early stages of that.
Hasn't even started.
And that grows exponentially.
Just getting started.
So, has barely started.
Yep.
What, 50,000 people in the world probably have Hex?
I think it's really important to just make this point as well. The Hex price is, in my opinion, going to appreciate over time. However, it doesn't need to appreciate. It doesn't need to appreciate.
Say what now?
The Hex price can stay exactly the same, and you can stake it, and you're going to get more Hex. So if the Hex price was exactly the same in 10 years' time, if it was, it won't be, right? It's going to be, I think it's going to be like, past Saturn by then. But if it, the way it's been designed, what's that?
I need it to go up.
You need it to go up.
If you are able to earn,
I think it's going to go up, but it doesn't need to. That's the way it's been designed, because by holding it, you get more, right? By staking it, you get more. That's the whole design. That's what's special about it, and that's why it's different from Bitcoin, which you don't get the new inflation in the system. You don't get the new coins being minted in the system. But in Hex, the people who invest in Hex and lock up their coins, they get the inflation in the system. You get the new coins. So that is what's different.
So let's put it in perspective. If Dave 43 said, if Hex stayed stable where it is now price wise, and demand was such that it could hold that price, and you were still able to get 12%, and this is for short stakes, 12% per annum return, that in and of itself is miraculous in any financial instrument. You know, people would be falling over themselves to get into an asset that does that. And that is what keeps driving the demand up. So we keep saying that the price, all it has to do is stay level. But if someone's seeing those sorts of returns, demand is always going to be there for it, because that is the ultimate. Like, to get 12% returns year on year, people are going to be falling over themselves to get it. So that's why there's that much demand for Hex, and that's why price will keep going up, and that just folds in on itself then.
But also risk needs to be factored in as well. So people want 12% low risk yield.
Or
12% is high risk. That's high risk.
I'll tell you,
because of the volatility in crypto.
I mean, you're only going to get 6 or 7%. Yeah, I mean, like, that's still pretty high. That's very good return considering, like we'll say property investment or something like that.
You'd say property returns on property in Australia, we can say, might be, you're doing okay if you're getting maybe 4 or 5%.
Or 4.5%.
You're doing okay.
Yeah,
and
commercial.
That's a pretty, and that's
might
pretty,
get 6 or 7.
You would say that's a pretty sort of safe. But if the second you start getting that 12,
Decent.
20, like 12, 15, 20, that's sort of,
Hey, can I ask?
Things have changed at that point.
Can I divert the panel and ask everyone a question?
Mm-hmm.
When I was on Tangent Stream, I thought of this question, and we had a really good little discussion about it. And I thought it'd just be interesting to bring it up here. On one of Richard's last streams, he brought up that he might have to go and hire 150 people soon. If
he's considering going back to that style of business structure with high number of employees.
Yeah. So this is just a little hypothetical for the panel. Who do you hire if you're Richard Hart? And how many of each?
That's a big question.
Well, there's 150 people. Are you going to hire lawyers, accountants,
to do what?
Front end people, back end people? How do you think you divide that 150 person resource? Like, where do you think it goes?
Obviously, being in the tech space, you'd think a fair bit of that would be on development. But then if you're entering in I want to be an exchange on-ramp, then that's a whole level of compliance and support. And so, you're building out a whole vertical business if you're doing that. Like, that's the full gamut if you head down that path.
Yeah, hire some politicians, hey?
Yeah.
That one came up last time as well.
That's really what needs to be done.
I don't think
we need a pack.
I don't think he's going to give a dime to any politician or lobbyist. When people are saying that they want Hexicans to be in there paying for lobbyists to try to influence government, I was just thinking, what Hexican is going to give money to a lobbyist? No one.
That's like, XRP level shit. That's the regulatory capture that XRP was doing.
It's the most parasitical middleman job you can have. Lobbyist. Like,
you're absolutely correct. But they're the ones that get shit done. And that's why we're in the predicament that we're in, is because those are the guys that are getting shit done. And they are getting shit done. Because every day, us Americans are losing our liberties because of those parasites.
So you find the lobbyists who are willing to do your bidding, and then pay them a lot of money, and then hope that they accomplish that.
It's not hopes. That's what they do. That's what everybody else does. That's what the people that are in power do.
Everyone else is getting ripped off as well.
See, people with virtues and integrity and all that kind of shit are losing the battle because they're not fighting the same war that those people are fighting. Those people are fighting a war with money, and they've controlled our government here with money.
But yeah.
But I mean, when it comes down to it, it's all of the industrial complexes that have bought the government here. through the lobby powers. And the virtuous people, the people with integrity, have lost the war because they haven't played that game. And that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I understand the simplistic way of looking at that, and it goes, well, all these like bad actors are paying all of these people to get what they want done. Us as good actors, when we become rich, then we can pay these people. I understand that, but I just don't think it's gonna work out like that. And I think anyone who gives money to a lobbyist is throwing away their money.
Yeah,
they haven't thrown a dime away. They've gotten everything
in America, so it's like
they've gotten everything that they've paid for.
Just go and buy the Sea Shepherd and we'll head out to the Japan Sea.
And we do have a different system.
Off we go
of government, to you guys.
Yeah, we do what you say.
What's that?
Our system of government is we do what America tells us.
Well, see, now you guys are double fucked.
Well, how's this for a question? I heard that the Australian government is a registered business. The Australian government of Australia, the Commonwealth government of Australia, is actually a business entity registered in America. Is that
a corporation?
Is there any validity to that, or is that just?
I don't know. But
the Australian
you're going to set off a whole heap of conspiracy theorists now.
That shit's metal.
All right. We'll get it all. Let's just keep it simple. Eh?
Can I say what I would like to see in Australia is I would like to see a some sort of senator or a party in the Senate, not necessarily in the lower house, but in the Senate, that like would have, some crypto, ideas, and maybe put them forward.
That's exactly what they're talking about. We have people that go in and lobby on behalf of crypto.
And guess what? That's how come we got that stay yesterday, because there were people that lobbied into it. And so it's unfortunate, and it's not my desire to see the system the way it is, but it is the system, and that's how it works. And if you're not playing that game, you're playing checkers when they're playing chess. And you could be as virtuous as you want. You can have as much integrity as you want. You could be as awesome of a human being as you want, but you're not going to win that war. And that's what I try and tell all these young folks. Like, look, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm walking off into the sunset, guys. This is your fight. This is your battle. This is what you guys got to do. Fucking wise up and go do it. Listen to guys like Wales. He's out there with fire in his belly, going out and trying to change shit and talk to people about shit. Because look, it's not going to happen with anarchy. It's not going to happen with some type of a rebellious fucking overtaking. You're not going to stop the elite fighting forces of the world and the governments of the world with your fucking whatever you have in your basement of your garage. You're not going to be able to organize something out of the basement of your garage. It's not going to happen. That's not how it's going to be done. The fight is going to be done in legislation. You're going to have to figure out a way to get through to the legislation, and whether it's taking money out of politics or creating your own PACs. Now, these PACs are the important thing, and I don't know if you guys understand what those are. But political action committees, which is where you put your money to put it to use, to hire lobbyists, is where it's at. So these, invisible entities, which are PACs, meaning that no human beings are really attached to them, but they just fill up with money. These PACs are the things that are paying these lobbyists. So a pact is what needs, a crypto pact of some type is what needs to be made to, go in there and start to adjust the system to, the crypto ecosystem. And people just don't realize that this is the direction that it needs to take, because a lot of people have fire in their bellies. And I understand that. When I was a young Marine, I had a fire in my belly too. And I wanted to fucking eat shit, kill it, and all that kind of stuff, If I didn't want to, fuck it, I was trying to kill it or eat it, And I understand that attitude of people. But that's not how shit gets done right now. It's time to change things. And in order to change things, you're going to have to play their fucking game. So learn it.
Can I just kind of say something though? Because with all of this stuff about crypto regulation coming, and then all the panic that people have had, I've been kind of sitting here going, this doesn't matter. The elephant in the room is that with real crypto, it can't be censored, and therefore it can't be regulated. They can try as much as they want. They won't be able to regulate it. And so all of this, hang on. So all of this regulation, all of these ideas of rules that they're throwing, to me, it's incredibly bullish for Hex and Pulse. Because Hex and Pulse are uncensorable. They will last no matter what regulations. All of these.
I totally agree with you, but they can shoehorn things in from the reverse end. So going through the areas that they can control, like your on ramps and things like that, and start to work backwards and inch in further and further and bully in all this regulation that then makes it harder and harder. You think they can't do it?
Then you have privacy coins, and they're all and everything else.
We've got and we've got them. And what you need is then everyone needs to be able to use that privacy coin, so they can halt adoption of it. And that's exactly what we're seeing in Australia at the moment. If you hold Dash, Monero, bloody anything like that, you can't use it on an exchange at the moment. You can't swap it. You can't trade it back into Aussie dollars. Can't even trade it into anything, actually. So if
they control the on-ramps.
That's all. They control the on-ramps.
But they can't. It's decentralized when it comes to Ethereum and using things like a mixer, like Tornado Cash. No matter what they come up with, the whole point of crypto is that no matter what they come up with, they won't be able to control it.
I totally agree, but you've got to pay for shit in real life.
Yep.
And until people, so if they go to a business and say, you are not allowed to accept crypto, I don't give a shit what you do. If you're going to register in our country as a business, you are not accepting crypto.
Yeah, but they've got the payment rails. They have got those choke points, especially in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go in and out of crypto, you have to go through an exchange, and you pretty much have to give all your identity away, and the government knows what you're doing they know you have that address and you're linked to that address.
Yeah.
Right? But what you do once you've got access to that, where they don't have any control over where you send it or what you do with it.
Yep.
And that's where the store of value is.
And I agree. I totally agree with that.
It's so much more important. It's like there's a race on. There's this marathon race on, and the politicians are these fat old dudes having a ciggy in their deck chairs, and they've just realized that someone is running a race. That's how far behind they are. It's about store of value. It's not about the payments network. The payment networks will come after. Once all of the hexagons and the pulsarians or whatever becomes the super rich, and everyone else starts using those currencies because they're generative, because Hex is generative in terms of wealth. It's not scarcity. It's not based on scarcity. Like that, then all of those payment systems will start being used. As you get more adoption and more people have their store of value, then it will move in towards the payments, because everyone will want to be paid in crypto. And then the government can't control it because there's just too many connections. There's too many people who are doing what they want to do.
You need a tipping point of everyone having a wallet on their phone or having access to a wallet. And it's not until you get that tipping point that then you can subvert the traditional payment rails.
Mate, with 20 or 30% of the population, it starts. It's the balls.
We will get that at some point in time. We'll get that tipping point. I don't doubt that, but it's how much they shoehorn in the meantime that puts roadblocks in the way and stops businesses. You say, oh, I can go pay a business because we've now got the rails, but if that business is legally not allowed to, because if they do, then they're not allowed to operate their business, they won't accept it, mate. You can put it however you like.
It's inevitable. Yes, they'll try to push it back, and they'll try to regulate, and they'll try to do as much as they can. They'll flail around, and they'll make dumb rules that are ineffective. They'll do all of that kind of crap.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's inevitable that, because it's a better store of value and it's a better technology, and it's a way around governments.
I
The
don't
only
think we want to
problem
be
is,
fighting. I don't
Blue
think we
Bum?
want to be fighting the government on this sort of thing. I
Yeah.
don't think we want to be
Fight
fighting
the government.
because no. But listen,
That's the whole point.
let me make my point, mate. Let me make my point. The reason I don't think you want to be fighting government, you want to bring the government, that you want them to make rules that are favorable to crypto. You don't want to be fighting the government head on this sort of stuff. And the reason you don't want to be fighting the government on this sort of stuff is they can lock you up in a cage, right? And they don't have to lock everyone up in a cage. They can just make an example of a few people, right?
Yep.
And
They've already done it. They've already done
In
it.
fact, I've
No
heard.
doubt. And there's more, and there's probably
in
more
fact,
coming.
in Australia, they can.
They're gonna flail. They're gonna flail around. They're gonna do ineffective solutions. They're gonna do dumb solutions. And yeah, we have to be really careful about all of that kind of stuff because we could be in the line of fire.
What you have to remember as well, Blue Bum, is that when we talk about government and we talk about politicians, they're not all just. I mean, we like to think of them as just one big group, but they're at war with each other. You know, they've got different ideals. So if they can latch onto something that's going to bring them some level of popularity, there might be some that pick it up and run with it.
But that's not right either. I just got done telling you guys, those guys are just puppets sitting there waiting for legislation to drop on their desk from these lobbyists. The money is what's controlling it. Now, if you want to go up, if you go, see, everybody thinks that we're fighting the government. There is no such thing as the government, guys. There is no such thing. All of these people are put in place by moneyed interests. Industrial complexes have put these people in power. You have no control over that. You get to vote for one or the other, and they've got them both in their pockets. Period. End of story. That's what you're up against. So if the moneyed powers don't want you to have your crypto, they will take it from you.
Nah.
So don't think so highly of your damn crypto. I'm telling you right now.
Technology prohibits them from doing that.
They can stop you from spending it and using it to do what you want to do with it in your life. If they tell a business, you can't do business here if you use crypto, if you accept crypto, you will not do business here. Those people will not do business with crypto. Period. End of story. Because when it comes down to it, human beings have to eat. They have to pay their mortgages. They have to take care of their families. That's what they need to do. They need to be able to spend that shit.
Why it will? There will be people will take it up because they'll be forced through necessity.
I like to think that you're right, but when you look at the amount of people that are in crypto, it's a very, very finite amount of people. And the people that are getting into crypto and utilizing crypto
is still just kicking in. And like it's obviously growing and getting way more mainstream. Like, I mean, like all I'm saying is that people were really freaking out over all these regulations that these American like politicians were trying to shove into the infrastructure bill without any kind of like thought about what they were doing or anything like that. And I totally agree that, you know, you should resist and you should try to get your government to make better decisions and all that kind of stuff. But I'd also just want to point out that in the end, they can't control it. That's why it keeps growing.
can't control the code. They can't control the code, but they can control what you do with it. I'll guarantee you that. They control everything that you do in your life.
You're wrong, RG. They can't control it because it's cryptographically secure. If I want to send money to OG,
Blue Bomb, they can make
the government doesn't want me to do that. I can do it, and they can't do jack shit about it.
So Blue Bomb, so you're kind of both right. The deal is that governments can make it very nasty and make it very difficult and have significant imposition onto the crypto space. However, what we then rely on is what Blue Bum's alluding to, which is the basically regulatory arbitrage, like so that you would expect that if one country takes a really hard stance against crypto, then another country that is enemies with that country will take a positive stance to crypto. So in some respects, it falls back on game theory. So I think Blue Bum's right in the long term that you can't stop crypto, but RG3 is right that in the short term, governments can create a pain. And so I'd like to drop an analogy on you guys from the anarchy community. In the anarchy community, there's a split between people who believe that there should be an attempt made to go within the government and fuck shit up or mix shit up in that respect, and sort of get positions of power within the government to try and sort of minimize the government or dissolve the government. And then there are other anarchists that take the hardline approach of saying you should absolutely never involve yourself in government, because by doing that, you are legitimizing that entity that is completely fraudulent. So two camps, and my opinion is why not both? Sort of try both ways, you know, try to attack it from a within the government perspective, but then also from a outside perspective. And is it possible to do both?
Can I just jump
Very
in
complex
here?
issues.
Unrex, you actually sent a link earlier this week
mate?
about. Oh, we're fine. We got time, mate. You sent me a link earlier this week about private islands for sale in the Pacific. Now, Blue Bum, if you want a place where you can use your crypto without getting fucked with, mate, you can go buy yourself an island in the Pacific, and I guarantee you're not going to get fucked with there.
And I reckon you'll have a lot of people come and visit you, mate. I'll be over there.
I'll come over as well, for sure.
I'll be a citizen.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I hear everybody's arguments on what they appear is happening here. The problem is it's not a war. Anarchists like to put things in like we need to fight this, or we need to battle that, or replace this or replace that. When in all actuality, what needs to be done is things need to be fixed. Things need to be changed. And this whole thing about blow it up in order to fix it, it doesn't work. Look what it's done to the countries that have done that. There's a lot of third world countries out there that thought that was the answer. And guess what it's done? What happens when you blow things up is that the powers that want, see, human beings are like this no matter what. So anarchists, I really think is a funny term to even have, because they want this whole, everybody just rules themselves and there is no real representational government. What happens is, no matter what you do, whenever you destroy a government or get rid of it or evade it, something else steps in. It's human nature. It's human nature.
There's got to be some sort of organization.
You're going to have an organization come in. Why? Because a strong personality is going to bring a handful of people with them, and that handful of people is going to turn into another handful of people. And those people say, well, this is the way we're going to do things. And that's just human nature. It's what happens. It's how things are done. So rather than trying to blow things up, you need to go out there and try and fix them. And there are systems and processes in place right now today that are the things that are making things happen. And that's how you've got to get involved. So when I say
something, can I say that if you look around the world at the moment and look how much power the government's got with these lockdowns over COVID, they're telling people where and when they can't go out, how far they can go, what reasons they can leave their home. That is a massive power, firstly, not over one country. It's nearly every country around the world. And that is a massive power. If they want to do stuff to crypto, I mean, they've already got us by the balls. They don't have to do much more to just fuck everything up for everyone, basically. And we can see that,
Yeah, I just want to comment. I was only using the anarchy thing as an analogy, not as a. I wasn't trying to promote anarchy. I was just using the analogy.
I didn't think you were.
But yeah, agree.
I'll tell you what, I feel like a few of us hang on, who's that? I think who's fucking around with that?
Plenty of comments coming.
Hang on.
There's plenty of comments coming through.
Some people got
chat.
muted.
It's certainly.
Oh yeah, what does chat think about all this?
I don't know. It's a bit of a heavier conversation than what we normally have on the late show.
Well, I don't usually like talking about politics because there really isn't anything. that is politics. You know, it's like this government thing and this entity is really not what's going on. It's about money. And let's face it, people in crypto have money. So go out there and do the things that people with money are doing, that entities with money are doing, to make the laws favorable in their behalf. And it's a very simple process. It's very simple. Set up a pact and start lobbying and go in there and get your laws introduced. Because the people that don't want you to exist, the people that don't want you there, they're the ones that are. We're gonna get shut down again. Why would you do that?
Just to bring it back to a bit of a lighter note.
They're gonna shut it down now. But anyway,
hang on. I got a better one, mate. I got a better one.
We are coming up to time.
There you
go. So, yeah, look, we'll keep going. We'll keep it running. Keep it running for as long as we want.
Yeah. What's the point of having FU money if you don't use it to make a change?
Exactly. And a lot of people in crypto have more money than they'll ever need to spend. So they need to start doing this. We had Brock Pierce on the other day, and Brock is actually starting to do things.
That was a really good interview. It was really
in the crypto community. Yeah. That he understands, hey, we need representation out there. If we're just out here floundering around out in the water, just kind of bobbing around saying nobody can fuck with us, we're unsinkable, that isn't going to do anything. We have to get adoption. We have to bring this to the people so that, like Blue Bum said, once we get people to adopt it, then they can't stop it. Once you get the people behind you, and you have lobbying powers, and you have representative government, that's when you win. That's how you win. It's not about this fuck everything, fuck the world, blow it all up, crypto rules, it'll never go away. No, that's not going to happen.
No, it's just about creating better products than what they can create. And that's just it's as simple as that. So that's
already winning.
My point is, rather than giving money to people to try to lobby things, I think that's the Richard model of go out and build something that people want to use. That's it. Just go out and and us as Hexagons, we can just go out and build stuff with all this economic energy.
I think you got to do it.
We can build stuff in our own neighborhoods, in our countries.
You got to do it on all fronts,
and that will happen. And that's you don't have to do anything. But you don't have to do anything. But what I'm saying is that, I think that the way is to build around governments, not to take them on.
RG, what about if Hexagons fund your presidential campaign? We're getting a few calls here for RG3 for president.
Well, that would happen.
I don't think your retirement.
Where's the fun in that?
Retirement is coming as soon as you want, mate.
Oh man, I don't want that job.
RG,
that job will kill you, man.
To be president of the United States.
I'd rather be this voice, trying to teach people with fire in their belly how to go out and really make change, because that's how it's going to be done. It's going to be done by the people with going in and changing the system. I mean, if they don't want this to happen, so it's going to be a very, very difficult task. But one of the things that people should be looking at is taking money out of their politics. If you can take money out of your politics, then at that point you have some type of representative government, where if all of the politicians have equal time to speak their piece, and right now it's about who can come up with the most billions of dollars is usually the winner. I think it's like 99.8% of the time, the candidate with the most money in the process is the winner. 99.8% of the time, the candidate with the most money during the process of the election wins the election. See, that's why all they do is try and collect money. That's what a politician's job is to collect as much money as possible so they can continue to win, so that the people that really pay them the money, the lobbyists, can continue to keep them in power to get their laws wrote. Because a lot of people don't even realize that the laws aren't wrote by your congressmen, your senators, your president, and all these people. The laws are literally wrote by the lobbyist organizations. Those lobbyists take those laws and sit them down in front of the Congress and the Senate and all those folks and say, here's what we want you to introduce. And that is handed them, put on their desk, and they introduce those. People don't really understand how their government works. And so how do we, as people with money and a platform and something that we want to bring to the world, do that? Well, we've got to set up our own pact. We have to start joining with people with like minds and bring money to the table ourselves, put law and legislation on those people's desks, and get that in front of the politicians. And you say, oh, well, we want to buy a politician. We got to buy a politician. Well, yes, technically you do, but that's just how government works. It's not representative government. It's lobbying government. And that's just how the system works today. And if you're not in that system, you're losing.
It's a generational thing as well. So our system's probably not so driven by money from an election point of view. We don't have those sorts of issues. But I guess what we do have is we still have the old beer-bellied pricks still sitting there behind the desks, and it's not going to be until the next wave of people come through, the next generation comes through. So not even our generation, the generation after us, who grow up with these technologies and understand global citizens more, and then they start getting positions of power, and hopefully they don't get dragged into the old system along the way.
Our system, you can have one senator who holds the balance of power, and that one senator who holds a balance of power can get all sorts of shit done in one term, in one is it? It's a 4-year term.
And usually it's some really wacky fucking person that gets that balance of power.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what? I look forward to seeing how hexagons deal with all of this in the future, and and see how successful it is. Whether some people go on one track, other people go on another track, but I think in the end, all change has to come from the personal. You can't just change a whole system, because that's a erroneous way to look at it. Systems are evolving, living organisms, and you don't just change the whole thing at once. It has to come from the individuals within that system, and so I think it's going to become a lot more from kind of personal journeys, and rather than somebody coming up with an idea about how we're going to organize society, and now I'm going to implement that plan. I don't think that that's not how societies work.
Enjoy your fat stacks when you get them for a while, and then when you realize you're just fluffing around, figure out what you want to do and make a real change.
It's going to be a hard decision, guys. We are going to be faced with really difficult, interesting decisions. Like when you have a massive amount of the ability to respond to something, which is what we'll have, as Hex gets more and more valuable. We're going to have the ability to go and put our economic energy and insert it into different parts of society, to give it to certain people, to give it to certain, things that are starting up or whatever like that. That's how it's going to change. It's going to, and that's going to be hard for us. It's not going to be easy. I think it's a great, challenge to have, but it's going to be tricky as well.
What else are you going to do, mate?
Yeah, right. So that's really interesting. We've had some interesting conversations. What do we learn? And we are running into time, and I think that might be nearly about that time of day to wind up the stream. I think we've got Kinetics coming on with Good Morning Kinetics on the Discourse.
He'll boot us off.
Yeah, we got to get off now. Because Kinetics is coming on. He's going to kick my ass.
It's past Unrec's bedtime.
We run that one to ground, and I can't help it if I live with an info.
All right, guys, I'll let y'all go. I'm sorry I crashed your party this morning. I was just up early and I heard you and I was like, man.
Thanks for coming on.
No, it's good to see you, RG3.
Yeah, I love all you guys. Man, I wanted to tell Tangent, I'm such a big fan. Tangent, wherever you went, buddy, man, you're great. I'm a fan. I love you, man. And all you guys, thanks for letting me hang out, and we'll catch you guys the next time. See you, man.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers,
RG.
RG. Yeah.
See you
Thanks
later.
everyone in the chat too. It's been great having everyone in the chat. All the comments, all the likes
Let's
and
wind-
subscribe. Bye now.
Let's wind it up, Unwrecked. Let's wind it up.
Disclaimer.
We've got to give